I spent 17 years combing through archive records at the New York Public Library, comparing banker correspondence from 1906, 1920, and 1929. And I found something nobody talks about. 3 months before Black Tuesday in October 1929, Cornelius Vanderbilt III liquidated 42% of his equity positions. 2 months before the Panic of 1907, J.P. Morgan moved $8 million into what his private ledger called hard settlements. And 6 weeks before the crash of 1873, Andrew Carnegie wrote a letter to his brother instructing him to convert rail stock into what he described as tangible, lasting value. These weren't coincidences. These men weren't psychic. They were following a playbook that's been in circulation among a very specific group of families for over 2,000 years. And if you watch until the end of this, I'm going to show you exactly what they bought, why it protected them when everyone else was ruined, and how that same mechanism is sitting right in front of you today, completely invisible, unless you know where to look. Let me take you back to something most people have never connected. In the Babylonian Talmud, Tractate Bava Metzia, there's a passage that discusses what a father must teach his son. It lists several obligations: teaching him Torah, teaching him a trade, teaching him to swim. But then there's a line that gets skipped in every religious study I've ever seen taught in public. It says, a man must divide his wealth into 3 parts: 1/3 in land, 1/3 in commerce, and 1/3 held liquid. This isn't spiritual advice. This is asset allocation, written in the 5th century. And the families who've stayed wealthy across pogroms, depressions, hyperinflation, wars and revolutions have followed this to the letter. Now I want you to notice something. The Vanderbilts are gone. The Astors are gone. The Carnegies gave it all away. The Morgans fractured, but the Rothschilds are still here. The Warburgs are still here. Lehman Brothers collapsed, but the Lehman family members, who'd quietly exited into private holdings years before, still wealthy. What's the difference? It's not intelligence. It's not work ethic. It's not even starting capital. It's the application of a very old rule that governs how you hold wealth when you can't trust the system around you. Here's what I found in the Morgan archives. In 1906, J.P. Morgan was not just a banker. He was the lender of last resort to the United States government. But in his private correspondence with his son, Jack, dated March 1907, he wrote this: I am reducing speculative positions and acquiring property of Yonju character, permanent character. That's the phrase he used. And what did he buy? He bought art. He bought rare manuscripts. He bought old master paintings. He spent over $1 million between April and September of 1907 acquiring tangible goods that could be stored, moved and sold in any currency, in any country, at any time. When the panic hit in October, Morgan was liquid enough to bail out the treasury. But his wealth wasn't in the banks. It was in objects. This is the part that nobody teaches. When you read standard financial history, they tell you Morgan saved the economy in 1907. What they don't tell you is that he saved it because he had already protected himself. He operated from a position of untouchable strength. And that strength came from following a principle that traces directly back to Jewish mercantile families who survived the expulsion from Spain in 1492, the Cossack massacres of 1648, and the seizures across Europe during the Napoleonic Wars. You don't store wealth in the system. You store it in things the system can't print, inflate, or seize easily. Let's go deeper. The Talmud, in Tractate Kiddushin, discusses the concept of K'nai Kinyan, the act of acquisition. It's very specific about what constitutes true ownership. You don't own something just because you have a receipt or a contract. You own it when you have physical dominion over it, when you can move it, when you can defend it. This is why, for centuries, Jewish families in Europe held wealth in gemstones, in gold, in small portable valuables. A deed to land means nothing if the king expels you. A bank account means nothing if the state freezes it. But a diamond sewn into a coat lining? That crosses borders. Now fast forward to 1933. The United States government, under Executive Order 6102, made it illegal for citizens to own gold. They required everyone to turn in their gold coins, gold bullion, gold certificates, in exchange for paper dollars at a fixed rate. It was confiscation by law, but there was an exemption. Rare coins, collectible coins, art, jewelry, anything deemed to have value beyond its metal content. And guess who had already moved their wealth into those categories? The families who knew this playbook. The Guggenheims had art collections. The Warburgs held rare antiquities. These weren't hobbies. These were wealth shelters built on centuries of tested strategy. Now I know what you're thinking. That's interesting history, but what does it mean for me today? Here's the bridge. We are living in the longest period of monetary expansion in human history. Since 1971, when Nixon closed the gold window, every major currency on Earth has been fully fiat, meaning it's backed by nothing except the promise of governments. The M2 money supply in the United States has increased by over 900% since 1980. 900%. And yet, the average person is told to save in dollars, to park money in bond funds, to trust the system. Meanwhile, the families I've studied, the ones with multi-generational wealth, are doing exactly what their ancestors did before every panic. They're moving into hard assets. Let me show you the pattern. Before the 2008 crisis, what did the smart money do? They didn't short the housing market like Michael Burry and make headlines. That's the Hollywood version. The quiet move was into gold, into art, into farmland. In 2007, George Soros bought massive positions in gold. In 2006, Jim Rogers publicly said he was buying commodities and tangible goods. These weren't market bets. These were wealth preservation moves. And after the crash, while the middle class lost homes and savings, those assets exploded in value. Gold went from $700 an ounce in 2008 to over $1,900 by 2011. Farmland in the Midwest doubled in price. Art indexes outperformed the S&P. This is the Talmudic principle in action. 1/3 in land, 1/3 in commerce, 1/3 liquid. What does that look like today? Land doesn't just mean real estate, though that's part of it. It means hard assets, things that hold value because of their physical utility or scarcity. Commerce means productive businesses, income-generating systems. Liquid means cash or near cash, ready to buy when others are forced to sell. The ratios can shift depending on the environment, but the structure doesn't change. Now let me tell you what I found in the Rothschild archives, because this is where it gets even more specific. In 1848, during revolutions across Europe, the Rothschild family moved gold out of Paris, Vienna, and Frankfurt. But they didn't just move gold. They moved it into London, into art, into English country estates, into things that were outside the immediate blast radius of political collapse. Nathan Rothschild had a phrase he used in letters to his brothers. He called it the rule of thirds and distance. Diversify not just by asset class, but by jurisdiction. Don't keep all your hard assets in one country. Don't keep all your businesses under one legal system. This is how they survived Napoleon. This is how they survived 2 world wars. And this is what the ultra-wealthy are doing right now. Warren Buffett, who everyone thinks just buys stocks, owns Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad. He owns utilities. He owns real businesses that generate cash flow, independent of market speculation. He's also sitting on over $100 billion in cash and short-term treasuries, waiting. That's liquidity. That's the 1/3 rule. Buffett doesn't talk about the Talmud, but he operates exactly like the families who do. He buys things that produce value. He keeps powder dry, and he moves when others panic. Let's talk about what this means practically, because I'm not here to tell you to go buy a Rembrandt. I'm here to show you the principle so you can apply it at your level. The principle is this: wealth stored in the system is subject to the system's rules. Wealth stored outside the system is subject to reality. Reality is supply and demand. Reality is scarcity. Reality is utility. The system is policy, and policy changes overnight. So what are the modern equivalents of what Morgan and Carnegie bought before the panics? Physical gold and silver, not ETFs, not paper certificates, physical metal you can hold. Why? Because every single fiat currency in history has eventually failed. The average lifespan of a fiat currency is around 30 to 40 years. The dollar has been fully fiat since 1971. We're past the average already. I'm not saying the dollar will collapse tomorrow. I'm saying that holding some of your wealth in a form that's been recognized as money for 5,000 years is not speculation, it's insurance. Second category, real assets that generate utility. Farmland, water rights, energy production. These are things people need regardless of what happens to the stock market or the banking system. During the Weimar hyperinflation in Germany in the 1920s, people who owned farmland survived. People who had savings in marks were wiped out. A loaf of bread cost billions of marks, but a farm still produced food. The principle holds. Third category, collectibles and stores of concentrated value. Now this is where it gets interesting, because this is where the Talmudic families have always operated. Rare coins, fine art, vintage watches. These aren't just luxury goods. They're portable, they're internationally liquid, and they're outside the banking system. If you need to move wealth across a border, a Patek Philippe watch on your wrist is worth $50,000, and it doesn't get reported. A briefcase of gold coins is worth $1 million, and it fits under your coat. I'm not suggesting you do anything illegal. I'm showing you how wealth has been preserved across centuries when legal systems collapsed. Now, the Torah itself, in Deuteronomy, talks about not keeping false weights and measures. The rabbinical interpretation of this in the Talmud extends beyond literal scales. It's about the integrity of value. When a government debases currency, it's using a false weight. It's stealing value from every person holding that currency. The response, according to centuries of interpretation and practice, is to hold value in forms that can't be debased. Forms that are measured by reality, not decree. Here's the part that stunned me when I found it. In the run-up to 1929, the wealth gap in America was at an all-time high. The top 1% held nearly 50% of the nation's wealth. Credit was everywhere. Speculation was rampant. Everyone thought the market would go up forever. And quietly, the old money families started exiting. Not all at once, not publicly, but steadily. They moved into land. They moved into gold. They moved into art. When the crash came, they had liquidity to buy assets at 10 cents on the dollar. This is how the rich get richer during crises. Not because they're lucky, because they follow a plan. Today, we're in the longest bull market in history, artificially sustained by central bank intervention. We've had near zero interest rates for over a decade. We've had multiple rounds of quantitative easing, which is just a polite word for printing money. Debt levels, both public and private, are higher than they've ever been. And once again, the smart money is quietly shifting. They're not panicking. They're positioning. I'm not telling you to sell everything and buy gold bars. I'm telling you to understand the structure. If all of your wealth is in paper assets, stocks, bonds, cash in a bank account, you are fully exposed to systemic risk. You're trusting that the institutions will remain stable, that the currency will hold value, that the rules won't change. History says that's a bad bet over the long term. The Talmud teaches that a wise person sees the danger and hides himself, but the fool passes on and is punished. That's not from a mystical text, that's from Proverbs, but it's quoted constantly in Talmudic discussions about financial prudence. The danger today is not a stock market crash necessarily. The danger is currency devaluation. The danger is inflation that erodes your purchasing power silently. The danger is a system that's over-leveraged and fragile. So here's what the Vanderbilts, the Morgans, and the Carnegies all did before every panic. They converted speculative wealth into real wealth. They moved out of paper and into things. They reduced their exposure to the system and increased their exposure to reality. And the families that are still wealthy today, the ones you don't hear about because they don't need headlines, are doing the exact same thing right now. I've put together something that goes even deeper into this. It's a full breakdown of the specific asset classes, the historical examples, the Talmudic sources, and the modern applications. It's called the Hard Asset Blueprint, and it's designed for people who want to understand not just what to do, but why it works and how it's been tested across centuries. You'll get the exact allocation models, the jurisdictional strategies, and the step-by-step process to start moving your wealth out of the system's control and into your own. The link is in the description. This isn't about getting rich quick. This is about staying rich across generations. This is about protecting what you've built from forces you can't control. The families who've done this successfully didn't wait for the panic. They prepared before it. And if you understand anything I've just shared, you'll realize we're not in the panic yet. We're in the preparation phase. The question is whether you'll act like the Morgans or like the crowd.